Looking to pick up your very own custom sleeves? Well, look no further. Go to yourplaymat.com where you can choose to have your very own image on the back of sleeves, or you can choose from their amazing range of pre-designed artwork ready and waiting for you. Get them shipped directly to your door and use the affiliate link and discount code down below to get 10% off. What are you waiting for? Go and grab your custom sleeves from yourplaymat.com. What's up, iTunes, Podomatic, Spotify, and now you guys at home at YouTube. Welcome to the next episode. I believe it is now episode 28 or 27. I keep losing track of During the End Phase podcast. It is what started off as a weekly, went to bi-weekly, and is now a monthly podcast episode because we thought the name of During the End Phase sounded and worked a little bit better if we did it at the end of the month. We're three members of the Zephyr Wargames team. We've got Donald in the top. Well, this is Joe that I'm pointing out via the camera. Everything's reversed. We've got Donald up here. There we go, visually. Trying to juggle the visuals and the audio as last time. And they will join me on these podcasts that we do. And throughout these episodes, we kind of structure them like a Yu-Gi-Oh kind of turn. So we go with the standby phase, with ones to watch, which are cards that we feel are either rising or falling in value and are worth picking up or getting rid of. And then tech cards and or decks that are worth picking up or getting into as well. We then look into our main phase, and our main phase is usually a fun topic, with whether it be top 3 cards that desperately deserve a reprint, our top 3 favourite cards. This week will be top 3 fun decks. So literally 3 decks that you build, you play for general fun, and go around with that one. We'll then move into our main phase where we will discuss the main deck topic of the entire kind of, not format, but of the moment, whether it be a new deck coming out, whether it be a deck that is around the kind of areas. And this time we will be doing the resurgence or kind of the reimagining of At Ignistas. So Ignistas are the Cyverse type deck that received a nice bit of support thanks to, of course, Lightning Overdrive. Then we'll move into our main phase 2 where we will review an upcoming product. So we'll usually review the upcoming products of the next month. This month, of course, being Dawn of Majesty, which will, of course, contain Magic Keys for the first time as well as support for Stardust as well. We'll then move into the end phase where we will answer your guys' questions from home. You sent them in to us via our Instagram and, of course, Facebook alongside YouTube. So we will answer them for you as well. So, with all of that out of the way, guys, don't forget you can download this podcast episode on Spotify, iTunes, or Podomatic and take it with you on the go and enjoy it all month long. With all of that out of the way, let's dive headfirst in this episode and start with our standby phase and the ones to watch. So, the ones to watch, as I mentioned, are each member of the podcast will bring you one card that is either rising or falling in value that are worth picking up or getting rid of. And then they will introduce you to a tech card and or deck for the upcoming format, which is either going to be fun to play, a competitive underdog, or just a general fun kind of card or item to be looking into. So, with all of that out of the way, let's start with Joe. What is your first card or your Market Watch card for this episode?
So my Market Watch card has even gone up further in price from the last time I saw it. And that is number 92, Heart Earth Dragon. This card is going at lowest for Ultimate Rare, and then the Ultra being £5 higher for some reason here on eBay. And it's lowest £55 for Heart Earth Dragon. And this is all because of future Utopia support, where this card is used in pretty much like 90% of deck builds I see, where you summon it off the brand new Utopic Dragna, essentially for free, get a material under it during the end phase, and then just nuke the board. So, so this card's pretty strong. It's only had like one printing here in like the UK. I said it because Germany actually had a super reprint of this card. I believe in an OTS pack or something somewhere, but they've got further copies. So it's cheaper for them. But for us here in the UK, you're looking at £50 lowest, going all the way up to 70 if you want yours to be nice and ghost. So sell this card now, number 92, Heart Earth Dragon, if you have any spare copies. or if you have just the one copy and you don't think, oh, I might not just use this anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think a card like that, especially a number card, unless, like Joe says, you want it as an ultimate or a ghost, it's definitely worth selling because you've got to keep in mind that we're due Battles of Legend, and there's speculation there's more number cards in there. And on top of that, we don't know for sure if the TCG will get it, but in some form of a sense, we will get the number collection. So that's another place where that card will be in there. And if everyone is buying the number collection for the price card of, what is it, not 107, 10 something, then obviously the Heart Earth Draco might be a additional card that they no longer need, so they'll just sell singles, and that's where you're going to completely plummet the value. Depending on what rarities they come out, they could all come out as secrets, they could all come out as supers, or all come out as ultras, but that's where the reprint is most likely looking to kind of tank that price. So I completely agree with Joe that that's a price that you don't shy away from. That's a price that you kind of need to cash in while you've got the chance to do it anyway. Okay, so Donald, what is your Market Watch card for this week?
So this week I was gonna Zero Utopic Draco Future. So as with always using Card Market, the prices are starting to settle down around 24 euros. And I feel like this is something that you can very well just invest to just get one copy of. As Joe has mentioned, there is going to be future Utopic or Utopia support. This is just one of those cards, even around like 24 euros, it's definitely worth to just have the one copy of. Or as Dale said, if we ever do get the number collection, you can just wait to get your hands on that. But besides, this is for this week, my Market Watch card is number F0 Utopic Draco Future.
Yeah, again, it's another very, very good card that I'm surprised it's gone as low as it is. I've seen people try and sell them on the trade group for like 15 quid, which I think is a great steal. I know that the card's not as brokenly easy to make, but I've seen what the new Utopia support does. Now, we don't know when we'll get the Utopia support in the TCG. They'll either give it to us in a core set, or side set like they love to do, or they'll actually give us a structure deck, which will be very weird, but I'll take it. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting kind of card to be looking out of, and I would expect everyone to have at least one of them because I can only see it going up. It might get down to £10 maybe. I can't really see it going lower than that. So at £15, if you can find one at £15, there's a very decent steal, in my opinion anyway. Okay, so my Market Watch card of this week is pretty much, if you're a fan of super shiny stuff, I've actually found it incredibly cheap and easy to pick up collector rares for Poker Nights. Now, obviously, Poker Nights are a little bit more expensive on the side, but what I'm trying to say about that is, you look at stuff like Rivalry, and if you're a control player or you like that card, then I was picking mine up for like 20 to 25s, so that's really good. And then there's also Joker's Straight, which I think if you're playing Poker Nights, when you're paying £10 on a normal Joker's Straight, but £20 on a collector's rare, again, it's a no-brainer. Like, they're coming down. The prices are slowly falling. And I can't see Poker Nights being meta. They're definitely going to be one of them decks that it's got fan following because of Yugi. It's got fan following because of just like the archetype in general being a Poker Night kind of element. But it's definitely a deck that I've thoroughly enjoyed right now. And I just feel that collector rares from that particular set, I mean, you can look back at the Ancient Guardians, but I don't think their collectors rares really have that same feel. Like, at least with these collector rares, they're at a relatively decent amount where you could buy them, and if the fan following picks up later on down the line, you'll make a bit of money on them. And if it doesn't, I can't see them dropping too much lower. Like, the really cheap bad ones will be 20 to 25, and then the okay ones will be 30s to maybe 40s. So that's where you can, get in quick while it's going down. And even if you're not a fan of collector's rares, I would honestly say, depending on if you're going to buy a lot of the mega tins, you can pick up Lightning Storms now for like 20 quid. Like 20 quid each. And when the tins drop, if the tins drop them as a super, then they'll go cheaper. If they drop them as a secret, you're still going to want to pick them up. So I think Lightning Storms is one of them cards that bounces in and out of side decks that, again, you can make a bit of money off of, or just making sure you've got a play set of them. Actually, there's a load because it's a month, man. Evenly Matched is another one. Like, they're I think we talked about this last time, but they're like 8 quid each. Like 8 quid, like, they started to grow up a little bit. Like, I've seen people doing for like 10 10s to 15s, but £8 for an evenly matched. Evenly matched is one of the first cards that goes in my side deck just because it deals with front row, back row. You just need to make sure that you ain't got to worry about like negations. So still think that's kind of cool. Okay, so then Joe, what is your tech card and or deck for this week? Or this month?
So my tech card for the month is, I guess you kind of have to clash it as a duo, but it's basically Dark Law, but then you've got to include Master Change too. So yeah, I think with the rise in the popularity of Virtual World, in the sense that the fact that they're essentially now just Shen Turbo, and that is really good this format because a lot of decks rely on Graveyard. So the fact that essentially any dark deck can just slap in some Master Change 2s and then just go into a Dark Law who does the exact same thing, but it's just 400 points, like 400, 500 points weaker in terms of attack. Like, that's pretty strong for something that you can just toss that out. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say, really. Just, it's Dark Law. It banishes things. And it's somewhat easier to make than Shen. Yeah, so Dark Law is my tech card for this month.
Yeah, I mean, specifically for this month, I completely agree. I think that's why Virtual Worlds have kind of got this resurgence in the fact that they're so good against the two main meta decks being Drytron and Tri-Brigade. They pretty much shut them down. So I'm not surprised by that. I think that's really kind of cool. And like Joe says, Dark Law is so good. If you play any dark deck, or if you play a dark deck, like any dark deck, it's a nice little tech. Any dark deck that loves to discard or gets a bonus of a discarding, even better. You've just got to make sure that the cards you're Master Change 2-ing up on are lower levels than 6. So shout out to Jordan on this one, but like, and I'm probably going to hate this because if he plays tomorrow, I guarantee he'll Dark Law me. But like, if you play Danger Dark Worlds, you've got Jackalope, you've got Snake, you've got any of the lower Dark Lord cards, and you're just turning them into Dark Lord. You've got any of the Dark World cards, and you turn them into Dark Law, and it's just sitting there going, cool, I'm going to banish all your stuff, I'm going to rip all your stuff from hand, and I'm going to OTK you. Or, if I'm going first, I'm going to set up Dark Law, I'm going to rip everything from your hand, and then you're not going to be able to play. And like, it's just such a good counter to the meta right now. It's crazy. Okay, Donald, what is your tech card and or deck for this month?
So I think for this month, I was gonna go with a deck, and I have to give a shout out to what made the most impression on me in the last month is Melodious. This is a shout out to our friend Robin. So what for everyone who don't know, well, especially what Robin's build was, it was basically budget Drytron deck. So they effectively do the whole sort of like they recur hand trap, orange light to the hand, and resources by that way in the same way that Drytron does it. But I think obviously Drytron does it a lot more effectively. Hence, it's can be considered like one of the I'd say 1.5, like it's not the tier 1, but like Melodious effectively can do the same thing to some extent. So I feel the need to at least give this a shout out because this can be very overlooked, that no one like knows it or how it plays. And yeah, definitely for this month, Melodious for me.
Yeah, I had the displeasure of facing Robin's Melodious. Like, I think the previous time I faced him, I faced Donald's Melodious, and it was literally like, okay, I'm going to build a wall, a Sanctuary in the Sky. I think it's Sanctuary in the Sky. And it's like, obviously, they can't be destroyed a battle, can't be attacked, and then if you get like a soft lock off. With Robin's version, his play was kind of different because he was using Herald of Orange, which is obviously a really, really good card. But then there was a lot of, like, their fusion spell is mad. It's basically like Shadow Fusion. So I was like, okay. Their fusion monster's really good in the current meta as well because it's like a quick effect, triple Call Bite or triple DD Crow, which is kind of cool. So it definitely has its weaknesses, which is why it's not meta in the consistency factor. But the deck is still quite a fun one, and like Donald said, it's actually really budget and cheap to pick up. So well worth it. Okay, well, I'm going to follow suit on this one with Donald and actually go for a deck. Joe pretty much knows what it is. I've been talking to him about this all week. And I was like, I was just shocked. I was shocked. Like, so the story of this guy is literally, I faced a guy, I got against a guy with this deck at locals, and I was like, this is pretty cool. I like this. And I was like, all right, cool. Left it because it just wasn't my. I was like, Joe's got this deck. I'm gonna leave it with him. Let him deal with it. And then I saw someone post in a group chat, and it's like, yeah, this one card gets you this and this. And I was like, hang on, that sounds cool, but is that actually possible? FYI, it's not possible at this exact moment in time, but it still made me hyped enough to build the deck. So the deck that I built was Sharks, but like, it's so difficult because it's one of them decks that can fall within like the fun decks because it can consistently produce 2 Toads and the Utopic Draco, which is obviously what we've been talking about. If you add one more card to that, that all becomes a 3rd Toad. Now, the issue is, from 3 cards, and you need to build this board, the remaining 2 cards, because you're playing so many cards to get to your... Like, you're playing so many water extenders, playing so many free water summons, that the rest of your cards really struggle to be any form of interruptions, whether they be Ash Blossoms, whether they be Backcrow or anything like that. And it's the biggest deck is literally, you Dark Ruler me or Drop Blitz me and turn off all my monsters, I am boned. Like, there's no winning the game. That being said, it's still crazy fun. Like, I had a lot of fun building it, a lot of fun playing it. You will be shocked at the prices of some of the bloody cards within it, because some of them have like, yeah, it's had 1 print. So like, literally, I had to speak to. I messaged Luke. Now Luke was the only one of our group that played Speed Duels and bought Speed Duel packs, and I was looking for Great White, which was a vanilla card that came out and started at Yugi, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I got one. I went through all my bulk and I found 1 copy. 1 copy. I was like, for God's sake, where else did it get printed? Oh, cool, Speed Duels. I might have some of these packs lying around. Oh, no, wait, Speed Duels set 2. Wait, that's the set that Luke bought like 8 boxes of. No, I don't think it was 8 boxes, but that's the set that Luke bought loads of. And I was like, Luke, you got any of these? He's like, yep. I was like, here you go. I'll give you £1 back on your bad investment of Speed Duels. To be fair, I think the funnier thing about this was Luke turned up with that today at locals, gave them to me, and because he gave them to me in front of Matt and then Donald, Matt was constantly like, what'd you get? Were you playing that today? What did you get? What are you doing? And then he even faced Matt and he's like, so what card did Luke give you? What are you using? I wasn't going to tell him. And I just found it funny because it's like the paranoia that Great White introduced was really funny. Like, that would have been really funny if I went, here's the card he gave me, normal summon Great White. But yeah, like, it's just a really, really fun deck, and it gets better. I think with decks like this, what makes it even better is the fact they're going to get stronger in the future. Now, again, they're not going to go from where they are now to being tier 0. They're going to go from where they are now to more consistent, more powerful, more fun. So that's one thing to always look at, which might be reasons why some of these cards have gone up in price. Now, I'm not talking about finding cards you're going to be paying £8, £12, £15 for. You're just going to be like, wow, really? I've got to pay £2 on this common. I've got to pay £5 on this rare. It's like, you do, but keep in mind that until October, there's no guarantee for a reprint of these cards. And even then, it would be so random that any of these cards get reprinted in an OTS pack. So, cool. All right, well, that's pretty much it. It's just, you know, I love these stories like that. It makes it fun. And speaking of fun, let's move into... I think we've pretty much wrapped up. I don't think there's anything more to say on our ones to watch. So literally, for me, it was like Lightning Storms, Collector's Rares, and Evenly Matches. It's like, you'd be brain dead not to have those right now. Joe's was Heart Earth Draco. And then, Donald, what was yours again?
Utopic Draco Future.
Yeah, that's the one. So Utopic Draco Future. Again, all of those cards, like, Joe's is a sell, mine is a buy, and Donald's is a buy as well. Because it was like 10, 15 quid. It's like mad.
Buy, at least one.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So there you go. That is your monthly dose of Market Watch coming up for the future. Now let's move into our main phase. And I'm actually looking forward to this one. So our main phase is going to be our top 3 fun decks. So, top 3 fun decks. What do we mean by these? Now, I was actually astounded in a really good way with the amount of feedback we got from everyone at home, because I asked them to send us in their top threes. We'll do that after we've gone through our top threes, but literally, top 3 fun decks, the way I say this is, they're decks you're probably, like, you might take to a regional if you really don't care and you just want to have a bit of fun. And they're fun decks that you just pull out. Like, we used to do this thing called services before lockdown, flipping sake, where we would meet up. Every single person that went there would probably take about 6 to 7 decks. And these were 6 to 7 decks. They very rarely did they have like Ash Blossoms, did they have like the meta staples or anything like that. And it was purely playing like a 2010 format, but you got to play old decks. Like Donald played Melodious, Ice Barriers before they even got the structure decks. Michael plays Batterymen, he plays Barrel Dragons. I think we had Exodia, but not like Exodia Minor or anything, but Chris plays like Exodia Draw. And the best thing in a multi-way is with Exodia Draw, you've got to play really good mind games. You've got to be like, look, I'm no threat, I'm not going to do anything to you. And everyone's like, yeah, you're right. And you're just sitting there going, draw, Exodia! So like that really does.
Even the slash draw in Exodia was always remembered.
Yeah, we have some very magical stories. Like, so we were messing about once. Sorry, Marley, he's not going to like this one, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't there. But like, apparently Chris was playing Exodia. He activated Slash Draw, and off of Slash Draw drew the last pieces of Exodia to win. I was just like, as you do.
Nice.
Draw.
It was mad. But yeah, like
So good.
I would say that the most fun we've ever had is when we're playing our fun decks at these places, which is why I thought this subject would be really kind of cool. So, Joe, start us off. What is your first fun deck?
So my first fun deck is not just because it's recent support, but I've always been trying to make this deck work, and it's always been fun to play, and that is Egyptian God. Like, you don't get more classical fun, really, with just your bunch of friends and you're not serious at all. It's just like, nah, it's just Egyptian gods. I'm going to get them on the board. They may die in the following turn, but who cares? You're going to sing the chant of Ring Dragon of Ra, maybe, and just have a bunch of fun with the Egyptian gods. And I can't not enjoy it. And especially now recently with the new support, it's just now become still fun like the old times. Like, the actual enjoyment has not changed. It's gained a little bit more because it's now a bit more consistent, and I feel like that just the enjoyment out of it, as opposed to like the competitive side of it. So Egyptian gods, whether you're doing the god structured X support or you're doing the Poker Knight builds, whichever one you want. I even tried to dabble with Sacred Beast build. It's like, just, you don't get more fun, I think, than Egyptian gods, other than 2 more that I've got just above this one.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Like, I was doing a trade with someone, and he wanted a load of Poker Knight stuff. And I traded it to him, but we started getting talking about Poker Knight with gods, because he was playing the Poker Knight God version, I was playing the Poker Knight Warrior version. I was like, I really want to try it out, but it's just so up in the air. Like, it's so, the consistency balance is difficult. It's something that you would only play for fun. It really depends on what level you want to go for. Anyway, Donald, what is your
because it's like just 2-card combo. You get a 4-3K Slifer on board, or a Sphere mode on your opponent's turn, just with 2 cards. Like, cool.
Oh, look, don't get me wrong, like with Slifer in it, it's really good because obviously all the Joker Knight cards, the new ones, apart from Imperial Boa, makes sense of that, recycle themselves from the grave. So like, you're always building up your hands. You're sitting there with like a boss monster of Slifer. But the issue is they recycle in the end phase, which means Slifer needs to survive the turn, which is kind of cool in a sense because it's going to pop everything that they try to bring out. But it's interesting to see. Donald, what is your first fun deck?
So my first fun deck. Now, admittedly, when I was looking at this, I was obviously looking at my lot of decks, 64 or more. I actually opted to pick the decks that can only be played for fun, and they can't actually be entered into a actual normal tournament. Which is, I don't know if I should keep going with that, or actually pick out a deck. I think the way you've done it is like you described it, is that have to be decks that can be played.
No, not at all. I mean, some of mine, like literally, you couldn't play them
Okay,
because it's literally like one hand trap and they cry.
This is actually would go to either. I would probably go with the Yugi deck. So this Yugi deck is actually characterized under the character duels that we do. So it's basically, you build the deck only using cards that the character has used only in the anime, and then we then add on cards to fatten it up basically to 60 cards by using cards that would have possibly used that are directly related to their archetype. So for me, I pretty much used a lot of the cards in the deck of the Yugi deck are cards that Yugi has used. Um, and doesn't have any of like the dark magician support or like only cards that Yugi has played. So this is my number 3 pick, and as you can see, it will have like cards like Pot of Greed. I think Graceful Charity was something that probably Kaiba played or something. Or actually no, Yugi did play. I think used Graceful Charity at one point. But we also have cards like Cards of Sanctity, which because we theme with the anime, we've changed the effect so that it basically does what the anime effect is, which is every player draws until they have 6 cards in hand. And as a result, you're basically playing this very like slow game of every player. Like Michael has like Marek and Kaiba. Ed has like Akura, and then there's like there was also I think also Michael does also have a Joey deck as well. And so yeah, we're all just playing these character-based decks from the original season of Yu-Gi-Oh! And just have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, definitely it's my number 3 pick. Number 3 pick, sorry.
Yeah, character decks are really fun. I think like if you follow it that route, because by following that route, not only do you technically get to play with banned cards where it's kind of like a GOAT format, but you also get to utilize just feeling like the character a little bit more in a bit of situational, which I think is really kind of cool. Speaking of anime decks, I think one of my fun decks, like again, I can't even remember why I built it. I think it was there one card? I don't know. It's TGs. TGs, and I think I must have picked up an ulti or I picked up some card. I was like, these are really cool, let's put it together. And I was like, damn, this deck's hella fun. Let's go try and play it. And I was like, oh, wait, hang on. Nope. One Ash, and it's just game. One Ash, one Imperm, one Veiler, it's game.
This is great, but it hates Ash. It's just literally Ash says no.
It is pretty much like that. Because, like, so it's just so weird. Because, like, TGs are like, hey, look, we'll give you this really cool Link Free monster, but you have to summon one from deck, one from hand, one from grave, so it can pretty much get belled, ashed, Imperm Veilered, the whole 9 yards. And then on top of that, it's like, by doing so, we're going to lock you into TGs. So we're going to give you insane amounts of synchro potential, but you're locked into TGs. And you're like, right, okay, cool. So unless I do this incredibly well, and don't get me wrong, going into Hyper Librarian and just drawing a crap ton of cards is really fun. But they're like, yeah, cool. Now try and make your TGs. And you look at your TGs like, right, what can I actually make here? And you go, okay, cool. I can get into, like, Cannon. And I don't get Cannon's really cool, but it's so dated.
Do the combo and they go into like Stardust Safer Dragon, which is like a summon negate and like an effect negate. I think it's just synchros.
I'll have to have a look, but no, it's when you use the Link Free, you lock yourself into TGs, and it's just like, cool, our best card also locks us into TGs. It's like, all right, cool. But it's one of them decks that it's not modernized enough, because the Link Free is really cool. Halley Fireback's in the deck again is really kind of cool. It helps consistently. It turns it from like a 3-card combo or a 2-card combo into a 2-card combo. But it's just like their boss monster isn't good enough in comparison to modern day, like even tier 2 boss monsters. And then any deck that locks you into certain things. So like the Poker Knights, you can kind of get away with it because it locks you into Light Warriors. And there's a fairly okay amount of those, especially when you consider Utopia. But like when you look at other decks and it's like, oh yeah, cool. If you do this, you're locked into specifically this archetype's level of monsters, and your archetype level of monsters are crud, you're not really going anywhere. But that being said, this is why multi-ways, and if you guys don't know what multi-way is, it's basically you get a group of your friends and it's an all v all. There's certain rules put in place. So like, for example, Omega is like, you have to kind of like rule it that it can't put a banish back on every person's standby phase, because then it's literally like banish your desires, and then by the time it gets back to you, your whole desires is now back in your deck. So you do have to like house rule certain things. But what makes it fun is decks that would be completely terrible in a one-on-one are amazing in these kind of matchups, because either they're so good at grind or they're so good at resource recursion, and everyone holds on to their Ash because everyone knows a bigger threat's coming. And it's like, right, cool. So if you're playing, the amount of times I've won a multi-way and Donald's won a multi-way. I think Donald won a multi-way with like Sonic Bird Flip once, which is mad. And like stuff like Noble Knights. You just sit there with Noble Knights, you stack them up on everything, and the one rule, which Jordan never seems to learn, is don't play Fug Gates and don't try and burn your opponent out before they've all got a turn. It just doesn't work. You will get targeted and you will get kicked out before. Don't get salty when you get kicked out either. But yeah, Motorways, incredible fun. Love TGs. Let's move this on to you.
So
two.
my second one is Sharks. Like, I couldn't not include this deck. Like, this is gonna obviously be taken off the list once we get all the future supports. I'm definitely gonna be trying to play Sharks at a more local level, because their consistency just skyrockets to just 2-card triple toad Draco future combos. It's just madness. But at the moment, as Dale said before, like, the deck is just so much fun. If you love literal sharks, if you love Zexal's characters, if you love water decks, XD's decks, like all this kind of like things, if you love rank 4 spam decks, just give this deck a go. Like, the main core is very affordable. Like, Buzzsaw is basically your heart and soul of the deck anyway. Everything else is just centered around him. So, and he's so cheap. Like, give this deck a go. You'll enjoy it so much. The amount of variety of options you can play in your extra is just all over the place, whether you want to go hardcore competitive with the toads, or if you want to go Barry and fun with battling box succeeds and so on and so forth, and like all this kind of things. Like, there's a lot that you can do with this deck, and it's just so much fun. I always smile every time I pick it up and play some test hands and play with friends. Like, this deck is great. So Sharks is my number 2.
Can't really complain there, considering I'm putting them together. So, Donald, what is your number 2?
My number 2 would have to go to my GOAT format deck. Now, a lot of people will probably agree on the fact that GOAT format is a good format to play. And now, well, I say GOAT format, my GOAT format deck is not GOAT control. It's actually anti-GOAT. GOAT control. What I mean by this is the whole stun unlock of playing a Geometry and ground collapse, and then you do sit there to burn. However,
Yeah.
the deck itself does compromise of more cards than burn. So you do have option. I do have the deck to have options to play more offensive strategies with beat sticks. Should your burn strategies fail, but the fact remains is that if you limit their options on monster spaces, you're basically preventing scapegoat from being activated, and as a result, you don't have to deal with GOAT control. But with the group of friends that we have all playing different GOAT format decks, they all do have means to I'd say combat this situation. I think like one of the techs that Michael plays is either like creature swap, or you just end up playing heavy storm to destroy ground collapse, stuff like that, or obviously the one-off TT. Still, aside from that, definitely GOAT control. Not GOAT control. GOAT format decks is probably my GOAT format deck is my number 2 spot.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even consider GOAT, to be fair, but that is one of the fun formats, especially when you try and change it up every now and then as well. It keeps it kind of fresh, and even though it's an old format that's going to have a ceiling, it can only go a certain route. It's still quite fun, again, playing with the older kind of cards. Cool. All right. My second one is going to be Charmers. Now, the reason I like Charmers is purely because they're just so basic, and I don't mean that in a bad way. What I mean by that is, you shouldn't really need to worry about going into the extra deck. You shouldn't really need to worry about having to do 20 special summons. I love the idea that they are self-contained within themselves, and they go, right, okay, one gets another, different attributes, different, well, apart from the fact they're all spellcasters, different attributes, activating the spell cards that boost them because of attributes. You've got ways of searching particular cards. And I don't think you're ever going to see, we've had 215 players enter this event, or we've had 1,000 people enter this event, and one of them is playing Charmers. So it's one of them decks that you have a lot of fun with. It's one of them decks that, sadly, we got during lockdown, so didn't really get the chance to test them at a multi-way to the level I would have liked to. But it's definitely a deck that I'd be looking forward to in the future, and constantly being able to adapt it. That, alongside stuff like Magisters as well, that I kind of see on the same level, is they have different kind of aspects and different kind of routes, and it kind of all boils back to like the fact that I really like spellcaster style decks, and that's kind of where I find the fun in those. Cool. Let's move on to the third and final for you, Mr. Joe.
So to rival your spellcasters, boy, I've gone with Red Dragon Archfiend. Like, I love Red Dragon Archfiend. Fans of the channel know I love this dragon with every heart and soul, my burning soul. It's like, this card is just so good, and the fact that there's a whole deck based around it. But the fact that it's a signer dragon means that you can slap him in any basically signer deck. Like, at the moment, I'm tampering with Yusei's deck just because he kind of stuff that better. It's like the deck overall is just so much fun to play. It's just literally strong hard ghost second deck in its core, because it just likes to nuke the boards and burn for damage and punch you in the face. But the fact that you do have things where you can do cheeky things of King Calamity on your opponent's turn, like, so if you do want to try and make it a more competitive style deck, it's got the main core there where it can do first and second, or just depend on the build you're playing. But down in its core, again, it is, like, to me, my most fun deck to play. Like, I always enjoy it. Like, whoever I'm up against is like, yeah, cool, let's just bring out the dragons and just enjoy the game. So my number one is Red Dragon Archfiend.
Yep, I'm a little bit surprised. Well, I'm not. I think you've probably done the same thing that I've done, and that we've talked about certain decks so much that it's evident it's probably our favourite deck, it tops our favourite deck, our fun deck, and all of this list. So kind of goes from there. All right, Donald, what is your... Go on.
Here, because I actually do play that competitively.
Yeah,
and I was like,
exactly
okay,
that.
do I not play competitively? Are these decks?
Donald, what is your third and final one?
So for my number one spot, while I would like to say Blue Eyes as like a very fun deck and my favorite deck to play, or Dog Days, which I play competitively, the deck that I number one would always rate as the fun deck to play is my 60 card traditional Highlander deck. So I consistently asked to request this sort of style or format to be played in our locals. It always gets turned down. We never actually do. But I do play this with Michael, and what it basically boils down to is what sort of engines, what sort of different archetypes that you can decide or enjoy, and you just literally mash them all together into one cohesive deck. So it's basically one of those shout outs to all those decks that are 60 card in there, just like I think Tom was playing, was it the other day, was like Shadow, it was just like Shadow, Trap Tricks.
It was basically Multi-Faker
Like,
Turbo, wasn't it?
basically an amalgamation of cards or archetypes that you just cram in together and it just works. Or it's like 60 card warrior or something. I don't know. But This my 60 card traditional Highlander. What for all of those people who don't know what this means is that you're playing under the traditional format, which means every band card's at one. Highlander format, which means every card can only be played at one, and 60 card being you have to play 60 cards. So you're playing with just 60 individual cards of your own choice, with your 15 card, 15 different extra monsters in your extra deck, and you're just playing have a go of it. So you might find yourself doing combo plays, which are just amusing for fun to watch, and be able to just see how engines work and collide with one another. Or some of them generally do sort of be their own bubble, because if you open up with them you can at least play them, but you still have we still have like the good interaction of playing cards like the max c. You can obviously try and integrate your hand traps into this as a bit of a fun side, or and then just utilizing the newer cards such as high kind of five rights from like an ash or something, and then you just end up comboing play on top of that. And yeah, it's interesting because while mine is more XYZ based, because a big part of my engines was like using the zoo cards and all that. Michael was going with the fusion route, with like Shadows, because obviously you could use the different attributes. And then at one point we had Peter, who hasn't made an appearance in a while, but he was making the start of a pendulum based 60 card traditional Highlander deck, because obviously all your scales, you're playing cards like Kieran, and all the broken performer power Pepe cards and all that. But sadly, at the moment, only Michael and I really play it, and even now, it's been a while since I've had a game with him because we sort of just turned to GOAT now. So yeah, my number one deck, 60 card traditional Highlander.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really wrong with 60 cards. You just need to put a lot of effort to put into it, because it's not as easy as just going, right, okay. I mean, you could tip a binder up, first 60 cards to drop out, good to go. But it's like Donald was saying, obviously his is XYZ themed, and then Peter's was pendulum themed. It's like you need to find a flowing theme between them that kind of brings everything together. Like you could, if you wanted to, make a 60 card Dark Magician deck, but your consistency is going to be so whack, it's going to be crazy and difficult to do. Anyway, moving on to the last of my three, and then we'll move on to your guys at home three as well. So shout out to stuff like Dark Lords. I've already mentioned it before, but like when I was thinking about all the decks I used to play for fun, and how I got into them, the number one choice has to be Despots. So shout out to Daniel, or Daniel Jesus as we knew him. He played Despots, and what I really, really liked about him is the fact that not only did they go over, like, I think it's like 9 different sets, or 10 different sets maybe, the fact that they're basically stationary, they're like pencils, pens, and all that come to life. It's just something that you imagine in your head. It's like, oh, cool. And it's like these little Despot robots running around. They've got a very nice power ceiling, because obviously Despot 003 and Despot 004 are incredibly useful and powerful cards. Not to mention Despot 009, which is obviously one of their main boss monster. They all share the same attack of 500. Obviously, more people will be familiar with Despot 003 and Despot 001, just because of the fact that they special each other and ones get looped around. And it's one of the one cards I was glad wasn't a casualty of the Halley Firebrats kind of era, because that really hurt Despots. But kind of like the funny look behind it, just that how much fun you actually have with Despots. And again, when you're taking it down to a level where Veilers and Ashes and all of that are a little bit minuscule, it just allows you to operate. And they're not the type of deck that's like, oh, I've built 20 negates, break it or lose. It's that type of deck that's like, cool, I've built up boss monsters, I've got effects to adapt the boss monsters, now try and play. I even remember a time before Links when I used to play Area Limit B. Basically, I think it was like an area limit where level 4s and highs couldn't attack, because you just go, cool, Despot 003. The idea is you go Despot 003, Despot 001, 002, and then 3 brings out 2, and 3 can target a card on the field and boost its attack. 2 gives everything 500. And you literally just flood the board with 3s and 2s that are below level. Oh, Gravity Control or Gravity Bind. That was the one I was playing. Because then, yeah, so level 4s or highs couldn't attack, and you're just sitting there with all these Despots going, poke, 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 poke. And it was just kind of, it's a really fun deck. I love the concept behind it. I love kind of, it's one of the very few archetypes where I think Konami have been creative in what they've done. Like, they haven't kind of taken it from a Norse mythology, which is absolutely fine. I love the way they do that, but it's kind of like Madolches as well, where they've produced incarnations of different desserts, and I like it when it's stuff like that you're reimagining, like you're actually creating stuff from scratch. So that's really kind of cool. Anyway, we got loads of you guys, I think around 28 comments, so maybe a little bit less than actual 28s, sending their top 3s in. So I'm going to try and blitz through these as fast as I can. Marco was Odd Eyes Performer Pal, Pure Elemental Heroes, and Dark Magician. Jared was Nordic X Saber. So Nordic X Saber as one deck, I assume. Zombies, not Eldritch. Sun Avalon. Karma was Cubics, Mechlords, Pure Thunder Dragons. Master Red Gaming was Dark Lords, Vampires, Zombies, Deep Sea King, or Metamorphosized Insect Queen. Interesting. Shim Shady, Time Thief, Blackwing, Amazements. More modern on that one. Sonic Nicholas, Classic Elemental Heroes, Dark Magician, and Synchrons. Magician Zero, Dark Magician, Fusion based with Secret Village specifically. Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, Monarch Chaos. Interesting. Abugust Music, Dark Magician, Fortune Fairy, Exodia, Magnet Warrior. Zane Truesdale chose Aromage, Cyber Darks, and Mayakashi. I mean, I would have been disappointed if he didn't have Cyber Darks on it. He says, additional question, do you like to play versus these decks? I would prefer to play against those decks. Vopal 1? Code Talkers, Cyber Dragons, Shadow Invoke, Dogmatica, Spellbook. No, you can't have the last one. That is not fun. That sounds horrible. Conrad Bergy, Gren Manju, Thunder Dragons, Mech Knights, nice. Fat Boy Fat _Smell, fair. It's your tag name. Plunder Patrol and Dream Mirrors. Oh, Dream Mirrors. Oh. Centaur, Yukari, Fright Furs, Evil Heroes, Cyber Darks, and Volcanics 2. Fair enough. Adrian Hoffman, Dark Magician, Magnet Warriors, Ancient Warriors. Nice. Brandon Nemo, Evil Eye, Pure Machina, Ice Barriers, Pedalogragus, War Rocks. All right, fair enough. Megaliths, Pyramid of Light, Pancake. If he doesn't say Madolches, I'm disappointed. Six Samurai, Magical Musketeers, Ancient Warriors. Liam Atkin, Unchained Pure, Rockets, and Red Eyes. Lance Jones, Dynamist, Nordics, and Odd Eyes or Rockets. Nice. Alberto Rangel, Rose, Dark Lords, and Gravekeepers. Michael Santagilo, Despots, nice. Blue Eyes White Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend. Keel 13, so Agents, Twilight Agents specifically. Wind-Ups and Harpies. Donald's happy. Simon has Malivorous? Malivorous.
This is that Bombs Exor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Nice.
Vincent Colon has got Salaman Greats, Ancient Warriors, and Toons. Nice. Baka
Hey,
is
dude.
Appliances, Battle Wasps, and Ancient Warriors. And the last one, Brandon, the WWE Duelist. I'm actually disappointed because he said WWE Duelist and he's not even playing Gokis and he's not even put battling boxes on there. Like, disappointed, bro. Come on.
No, all of his picks are irrelevant.
He's got, well, he said he's got Rockets, 5D's deck, Code Talker, and Agnistas. I mean, choices are fine, but with a name like that, you have to at least have pure Goki on there. Like,
I like how he's picked two decks from the same era where Goki is, and he's like, nah.
Even now, they're going to choose Goki. Yeah, thanks for everyone that sent those in. It was really nice kind of reading through those. So yeah, some great choices on that, guys. I'll try and do this a little bit more often. I think I put these out at the start of the week, so there's a bit more prep time for it. Yay, go me, slightly organised. So we'll try and do that again in the future. Speaking of which, that wraps up our main phase. Our main phase. Let's move into our battle phase, and we're going to talk about the resurgence or kind of the reinvigoration of the brand new Cyverse deck. I say brand new, it's quite old now. Of at Ignistas. So, at Ignistas are a Cyverse style art type that revolve on what looks like puddles of jelly, in my opinion, that pretty much summon themselves down to increase. But they basically swarm the board, but not on their own. They basically goes, here's a little yellow jelly tot. Let's go into a red jelly tot. Then let's go into this purple jelly tot in like armor. Let's go into. Then let's go into this big boss monster. And basically, at the end, it's like if you put these jelly tots into a microwave, melted them all together, and then just stuck a stick man in the middle, and then went, here you go, here's my indestructible stick man. Now, I'm not taking the mickey out of Ignistas, right? I'm just saying. Then they're not. He's like, when you look at them, it does make me want to eat them. It does make me go, wow, this looks like a jelly tot. This actually looks really cool. Like, you can't tell me you don't look at, like, Picari, Doshin, like, they look like jelly babies.
They literally just go, they literally make minion noises.
It's literally just Yu-Gi-Oh! Went minion. Anyway, before I let Joe dive into the deck, because he's probably played it the most, what has kind of brought this Ignistas back into life? Well, they've got a brand new Link 1 monster that pretty much says, add your most important card from your deck to your hand. The most important card is the field spell. Their field spell basically says if you do not control a particular, do not control anything in the main monster zone, you can special summon an Ignista from your hand, but it can't be the same attribute of one you've already special summoned. So you normal summon Picari, Doshin, Achichi. So Achichi gets you Picari. Picari gets you a spell or trap, and their spells and traps now proceed to be, when I met you, reveal a card in your extra deck, add a monster. Okay. Or have a monster reborn. And it's kind of like, yep, cool, we'll keep going. Now, it's Marley that's played this more recently, and he's played it at locals. And, I mean, their first turn board, in my opinion, isn't massively impressive. Like, they go through a lot of work, they build up a lot, and then they basically end on a 5,000 to 6,000 attack towers. So that is relatively impressive, but it's like, when you watch decks and they're like, cool, I've just comboed for 20 minutes. I've got 12 monsters on my board, even though it's not possible. 12 monsters. I've got 6 monsters on my board. All of them have 7 negates each. Okay, Dart Ruler. With Ignistas, it's kind of like, okay, I've just summoned like 18 times. Here's my 1 monster. But the worst thing about it is, that 1 monster is harder to deal with than those 6 monsters. It's a pain in the ass. And then when they go second, they literally just go, access code for game, and you go, yep, cool. So the deck's really good. And the reason that it's got a resurgence is because the consistency level has gone from find the field spell with a terraforming or a normal summon of a Picari and hope it doesn't get stopped, to normal summon any at Ignista level 4 or lower monster from your hand, get your field spell, off you go. So like the consistency level has just gone boom boom straight away. And then when you're introducing stuff like access code, you're introducing this towers of the rivals. It's unreal. And I watched games where Marley was getting hand trapped and he was getting Beerud, and he still managed to come back. Now the biggest issue with the deck is because it is a field spell reliant deck, if you can take out the field spell, they will struggle. The issue is exactly what Joe just said. So Joe just said the field spell resets itself. Yes, it does. But the issue is, even going third, like if you go second against this Ignista deck, if they're still able to play through the Nibiru's and the standard hand traps, you've got no way of technically, unless you're playing Typhoon, of getting rid of that field spell. So you're going to have to let them do their special summons from hand. There's not really a lot you can do. Nibiru does cause them an issue because it does put a token on their main monster zone, but then they can just turn that token into something else and off they go. There's still plays that they can make. Do not worry about that at all. Not to mention that they'll still have the Monster Reborn that they've searched at some point down the line and the card that searches. So it's that good. Donald is partly dead. So
I'm not gonna lie. I think it was like about 5 days or near to a week ago. I legit had a 50-minute game against Ignistas on was it Yugioh Pro? So yeah, EDO Pro, sorry. And it basically devoted to me making a wall against the 5k Adignista with my Madolches, constantly recycling, and then hard drawing my kaiju just to win. It went on for like 30, 32 turns, and I finally hard drew the kaiju and was like, that's game. Like, oh my god, yeah.
Yep, I made Marley laugh because I was playing Drytrons and I had to use half my Drytrons to get into an Appaloosa and then use that Appaloosa to make access code. GG, bro. His monster was on like 6k. It was 6k. I couldn't get past it. I had no way to out that card apart from make Appaloosa to make my bloody access code 6,300. I had no other way out. It's like those very thin scenarios where it's like Borosword would have been kind of cool here. I just couldn't out it, so I was like, "Yep, cool." And he wouldn't let me go. He wouldn't leave it at that. He just kept laughing that I had to use Appaloosa to make it. So I was like, "All right, fair enough." Okay, so Joe, I'll let you kind of dive into Agnistas. We pretty much know what they are, but Agnistas, what the new cards kind of do, how they're relevant, their weaknesses, their strengths, and kind of go from there.
So Dale's basically gone through the bare bones of what your main end goal is. Just not only are you basically having the arrival with between 4,000 to 6,000 attack, depending on what you got in your hand, you're also going to have a monster negate engraved, because another of the new cards they got is called Danmari at Ignista, which is a level 5 or 6 Dark Cybers who has two effects. One in hand, where if your Ignista battles, you can special summon it and negate the attack. And then from either field or grave, you can banish it if you control a Link 6 monster and negate a card on field. So your main goal is to use Voodoo, the tuner, to dump Danmari from deck to grave to foolish it. And then while you have your arrival, you will have this constant negate engraved just looming there. And so in like Dale's scenario, you could just literally, because you're sitting there with a tower, so you don't really care what your opponent's doing. You can just literally sit there twiddling your thumbs and just say, yeah, cool, I don't care what you're going to end on. Unless you can get over the towers, I'm all right. The moment they summon their access code or their bowl sword, something that they have to literally punch over, you can just wait. Okay, cool. I wait for your access code to gain its attack. Cool. On resolution, Danmari from grave, banish, negate. Now it's lost all the attack. And you still sit there with your towers, which then on the next turn, he's going to pop that monster, give you a token, and you just keep going. So there's that. There's two other things that people either end on with the arrival. You got what I tend to do currently, which is have a 4K arrival with a Cyberse Quantum on the field in defense. So they can't target the arrival or anything while you control Quantum for effects or attacks. And if they attack Quantum, Quantum can just bounce it. So they can't literally beat over the arrival because they have to beat over the dragon, and the dragon just is going to bounce it. So there's that. Or what people also tend to do is they make the Wind Pegasus Ignista during the combo, get him into grave with the Danmari. So now you'll have your towers, who's hard to kill. You have an effect in grave, so if anything confronts the towers, you can then just banish to negate. And then if they do get over the towers, you can go, cool, Wind Pegasus, banish to bounce your monster back. So the effort that you have to, basically going first with Ignistas currently, is you do a 1-card combo out of 12 in your deck to end on the towers to just force your opponent into a scenario where I have to then use everything to get over it. And then you do 1 or 2 cards to remove that thing that they just spent their entire game plan into. And then you go following turn, cool. Play my Searcher, get the Searcher, and 1-card combo OTK. Because now your Link 6 towers in the graveyard, you make your access code token. Cool. My now 2300 access code is going to gain 6k from the arrival in grave. And this jumps all the way to 83. Oh, and I've made it with update jammer, so he attacks twice. So, and I have like three attributes in grave, so I'm gonna go banish, pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, it won't gain the 6k because it has to be used as, I believe it has to be the material used for its link sign, but it doesn't really matter.
No, you just target access code targets anything in grave. It doesn't have to be a thing it uses material. It can just be any link in grave.
Rule in check.
Yeah, it has to be target one link once that was used for a material for its link summon.
Okay, that's right. Then cool. Your Idol Reborn just revives the arrival because it just revives any Ignister.
To make a Link 6 and Link 1.
You revive the Link 6, use that Link 6 to pop a card during mid combo, and then use that to make access code if you really want to.
Of course you would. and let's not forget. Not only would he use the tower. Yeah, but you're telling me, right? Your train of thought is, not only am I going to make my access code with a towers, so it goes up to 8,300. I'm also going to use update Janna, so it can attack twice. Also, by this point, I've probably got about 10 different bloody attributes in my extra deck. So, for some random reason, you want your card to attack twice to do 20,000 damage. Like, are you doing like a 1-on-2 or something?
Like, all that aside, anyway. Like, these are just like the simple fun things that you can actually do with the Ignister deck. Like, the main goals, if you want to pick up the deck and you're thinking, okay, what am I doing? Like, what's my goals right now? Your goals is to go first, make the hard towers, force your opponent to try and get over it. If they don't, cool, you're going to game them next turn. If they do, cool, you're going to game them next turn anyway. If you're going second, you're going to use your hand traps because the deck is built like salads, and I guess also like Donald's Badolces, where you got your small engine, you got your packaged engine, and then you got like the rest of the half of your deck is just hand trap disruptions trying to get over your opponent. So you use your hand traps, prevent your opponent from playing as much as you can, and then you just use your 1 of 12 cards to just make a access code talker if you want. You got your transcode talker, update jammers as well if you want. Your towers can actually still be strong going second because again it can just do a free pop a turn. You got the old traditional Dark Templar with Light Dragon at Ignister OTKs as well. So you got a variety of options that you can do with this deck, and it's just very unique. The only issue really is that it does hard lock you into Cyberse. So it's hard to mix mash it with other generic strong engines like Dogmatica and things like that. Barring that though, you can do things like mix it with Code Talkers and do like Code Talker Ignister, things like that. You can probably mix it with Salads because they just all play Cyberse. So you got the more Cyber stuff support that we get in the future, the more things like at Ignisters can get a nice buff. We're still waiting for our Heat Soul to come out, which means that our first turn can also be Heat Soul, draw a card, set back row. So we've got a lot of variety coming in our way. The deck has got a lot of variety currently at the moment. It's, to me personally, as someone who's playing it as well, it's a lot more than just Mega Towers. You got towers with 1 or 2 disruptions alongside with him. Then you got hard OTK going seconds. Got hard OTK on the following turns and things like that. There's a lot that this deck can do, and if you like combo decks, if you like disruption decks, if you like decks that can do multitude of builds, hard go second, hard go first, things like that, mixture of both, you'll really enjoy at Ignisters.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest point. Is it's a deck that had slight potential, but it had to burn through a lot of resource. So what it's actually gained now is it's gained consistency in
the Link
recursion.
1. Yeah, a lot of people love Link 1s, and I understand it. the Link One, what does it need to do? It just does everything for you. It gets you your combo piece, being the field spell. It can move its zone around, allowing your Dark Temper to be not a summon to my zone, I revive 2. It can now be summon to my zone, move out the way, and I can now revive 3, which is just phenomenal. Phenomenal addition for your Templar. We've got a searcher which searches everything in your deck by just revealing basically an Ignister extra deck or Code Talker, which is just fantastic. We've got the negation from Graveyard, and then we've got like 1 or 2 other things which is really for fun. So there's that alongside as well. And there's something else I wanted to touch on with the Ignisters, but I can't seem to put my finger on it. If I think of it later, I might just mention it. But yeah, no, this deck has just got so much going for it now. It's really good. Like, it's just really good. A good sleeper deck, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, best thing about it as well is it should technically be getting downgrades in the Megatins in September. So you should be able to pick up everything really cheaply because everyone's going to be chasing the Dogmaticas, the access codes, all of that stuff. So apart from access code, which if you pull it from the tins, amazing, these will be the things you want to pick up. And like we said, even then, you don't need to rely heavily on access code. You can go and do the fallback of
people
transcode.
Actually swap it with Zero Monos or Mech Knight Crusader.
Yeah, Avramax, fine. So it still gives you those options if you're like, I don't want to spend £100 on card. Well, technically you don't have to. It's literally just going to be the field spell that's going to be a field spell Picari and a Chi-Chi that are your core cards to get hold of. But once you've got them, that's it. Done. Cool. All right.
Oh, the deck also has an infinite revival loop. With combo of Doyon, the black Ignister, and your Idol Reborn, you can have a infinite revival every turn.
Yeah.
Because you play your Reborn, you get Doyon. Doyon gets you back an Ignister, so it can be either Picari or a Chi-Chi. Once you link that Doyon off, it gets you an Eye spell back from your graveyard. You just get Reborn back.
Hey, that's pretty good.
So a 1 card makes 2, and then that one of those is just going to revive that card again. And it's just constantly, you're literally, if the game keeps going, you're going to rebuild your hand back within like 2-3 turns.
See, resource management, consistency is like the 2 core parts of a good Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Fine. Well,
it is.
Joe's given us the breakdown. Donald, apart from your experience with them, anything you would like to add?
No, honestly, nothing much can be. Well, nothing on my side. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. It's not that it's a complicated deck. There's just not much more to really add to it. It is as it says on the tin. It's special. They special themselves. They consistently recover from the graveyard. They're not unstoppable because obviously that's the reason they're not tier 0 or anything. There are times where a right time Nibiru, a right time Ash, a right time Valar, heck, even if you're playing Ghost Ogre, a right time Ghost Ogre can really cause issues. It's just that when they get going unopposed, they can go off and they can produce some of the strongest boards. And exactly like Joe said, the only way you kind of beat them is you have to out their big boss monster, which you're having to put a heck of a lot of resource into anyway, and then follow up with either multiple negates of your own or OTK them. So you still need to put a lot of effort into it. It's not a simple walkover deck that it might have once been. So it's definitely not a deck to sleep on, and it's definitely one that I'll be looking at once the tins roll around. I got rid of my first batch because I just wasn't using the deck. I didn't get the use out of it that I would have maybe wanted to, and I had to kind of downgrade. So I'm glad that Marley's getting the use out of it, and it's definitely shown me a new light of what the deck can do. So that's really cool. Okay, that seems to be it for our battle phase. Literally, our battle phase is where we just discuss a particular deck, or if it's a special event, we'll talk about multiple decks, or of course a ban list. Now let's move into main phase 2, and let's talk about the only product release, card product release, coming out in September. Not September, jumping ahead a month. August. And that is, of course, Dawn of Majesty. So, Dawn of Majesty is the brand new core set that features a brand new Stardust as its cover card. It consists of new support for Evil and Live Twins, Numbers, Pendulums, Fusions, Branded, Crim Critters, Alien, Tremid, Amazement, Attractions, technically both the same, Chronomaly, Sulphur Chords, Gusto, Sky Blasters, Majestics, Stardust, Synchrons, Spring Guns, and Warrior archetypes, as well as Gizmecs and Synchros. It introduces brand new archetypes of the Despia, the Magikeys, the Suships, and the Zhang Zhuan, as well as the first support for Mystical Beast of the Forest and Mystical Spirit of the Forest archetypes. Now, obviously, this is all has been read from the OCG official release, so some of the names will be different. But as you can kind of see already, we're getting the next kind of swing of the Dogmatica lore with the Despias and the Zhang Zhuan. And then we've got the brand new introduction of the Magikeys, which is technically the deck that fusions and can synchro from deck. Fusions and can ritual from the deck, which is interesting. Suships, which is basically vanilla sushi that is going to kick some butt, which is going to be fun. And then you've got obviously more support for the Amazements, which were introduced in Lightning Overdrive, more support for the Evil Twins and the Live Twins, alongside some much weighted support for Alien, which I know Donald's going to be happy for, the Sulfray chords, or what are now called the Do Re Mi chords, not to mention kind of legacy support for Gustos, and of course the Mac Daddy himself, Stardust Dragon. So I'm quickly going to go over what I have of interest within this set and what I feel would be definitely something to keep your eyes out on. So for me personally, I like the idea of the Magikeys. I think they're quite an interesting archetype to play around with. I feel that the Zhang Zhuan, which is again part of the Dogmatica lore, which gets even more support in Burst of Destiny or Burst of Destruction, which is the next core set, is also really kind of cool. And the card they introduce in this set is, while it's on the field, if your opponent specials from the deck, I think it's something like draw 2 cards. If they special from the hand, pop a card. And if they special from the grave, you get to do something else. It's given me some nice lower level support for Gizmet, which is pretty damn awesome. And then we're looking at some support for attractions or amazements, as well as the brand new introduction for the Suships, which again look really, really fun because they're introducing us on this one to a vanilla, an effect monster, and a XYZ monster. They've also got more support confirmed for the next set as well. Not to mention the Despias or the Despains, who are the next core component of the Dogmatica lore, and they look very, very evil. So definitely interesting, and that's before you even get around to the new support for Stardust if you are a Stardust fan, which leads me beautifully onto Joe. So, Joe, what is your kind of thoughts on Dawn of Majesty? What are the cards you're looking for? And kind of go from there.
My thoughts is, can I have it now? Like, I'm super pumped for this set. Like, Kunai, to me personally, is most of who takes more interest into the anime decks and tries to make them better. So I play a lot of the anime style decks, and so I do tend to just naturally be excited for the booster sets because they do kind of like main themed around the anime sets. But the anime supports that we've been getting lately in the year is just been fantastic. Like, currently, in terms of Dawn of Majesty, the starter support, barring small, like what you will actually be using, is just so good. Like, not just including the boss monster, but Stardust Synchron in itself, being a level 4 Synchron that can basically do what Jet Synchron does, revive itself by distributing a monster on the board. On summon searches, you a Stardust card from the deck, and like it, just those two things alone is just fantastic in itself. We're also getting the new Majestic Dragon tuner, which can summon another level 1 dragon from your deck. So people tend to summon Omni Dragon Brotor, who then basically can, by just those two alone, search you any dark or light in your deck, or a dragon in your deck. This is just great. So your combos just keep on going. The other starter support is fantastic. The new spell card's really good. Every time a synchro monster is synchro summoned, you draw a card. It's not just you. If your opponent's synchro is cool, I'm going to draw on your turn. You know, I might draw into that hand trap that I want. Like, just the starter stuff is just fantastic. But I'm also huge fan of aliens, and we're getting some great alien support in this deck. I know Donald's also looking forward to that. The Quadamales, they're actually getting some really good support in this set, so I'm looking forward to upping that deck. In terms of like brand new stuff, I actually do like the Despairers. The artwork is just gorgeously evil. But their playstyle is also very unique. It's very synergized with just fusion decks in general. I know with just from Dawn of Majesty, Shadow Despairer is actually very popular in OCG at the time. So now with Burst of Destiny, the people are actually throwing Destiny heroes into there, so that's something to look down in the future. But like overall, I'm really excited for Dawn of Majesty. I can't wait to get my hands on the box and just make my Synchron Red Dragon Archery deck just all that much better.
Yeah, I'm putting money on it now. There will be a Starlight Stardust Dragon, and I hope it's your turn artwork.
If they don't, then I don't know what Konami's doing. Just doing something wrong.
We got Black Rose in the last one. They'll give us Stardust in this one, then they can give us Borreload in the next one. Donald, what are your thoughts on Dawn of Majesty?
So Dawn of Majesty for me, I think the thing that struck out to me the most was obviously the sous ships, obviously being the fact that it's basically you have the vanilla and you put the Fat monster on top, and then there you go, XYZ, that's the monster. It's like that's how yes, I am looking forward to the alien support. Admittedly, when I was like typing into Yu-Gi-Oh! Wikia, obviously the link 3 doesn't have the word alien in it, so I was a bit confused as the only alien monster is Alien Buster, which is a nice free pop if it has A counters, but the link 3 is really nice on the fact that it's giving you additional normal summon. Yeah, and what was it? Monster Zone. Monsters opponent controls with A counters are changed to defense and they can't activate effects. Which is really nice because you have like the quick play spell, just give me recombination device. Basically it's quick play, you target face up card on the field and you send the alien and give it counters. So basically giving a form of interaction or disruption, should I say. The other thing, yes, I'm really looking forward to the Sulfur Cord Link monster. Is basically our equivalent of Electromite, adding a pendulum monster from extra deck face up to our hand, and then just swapping it from our hand to the extra deck with just different the other sort of scale it has, and then when you pendulum summons, add a Sulfur Cord with a different level. Oh, actually, a level equal to the scale of the ones that you pendulum summon. So it doesn't have to be the ones that are in its zones as well, and it's really nice on that. I have seen some play of the starter stuff. I think it's really good. To be fair, I'll probably incorporate only 1 or 2 cards from their support because I do have the Signer Dragon deck, which its whole purpose is to summon all 5 Signer Dragons. I still wait. Ancient Fairy is still banned. Is it? I'm trying to figure out. I'm pretty sure Ancient Fairy is still banned, isn't it?
Ancient Fairy for us is still banned. Yeah. You'd have to use Ancient Pixie.
So I still have deck to play, and in its own, for all the synchro monsters that it summons, it does have an attempt to summon out Formula Synchron to then summon our Shooting Star before. And it also had an attempt to summon Red Nova, but now I think with a lot of new synchro support we've got, it's basically just burns down to summon Tolkien and then you summon Bills and Crystal Wing and Scrap Dragon. Well, mainly Bill's Scrap Dragon, that good old combo, but it still has the other side of the dragons in there, including Power Tool with a live stream because that is still a silent dragon. Oh wait, that's technically spoilers, Joe. Anyway,
if you haven't watched it,
definitely good one to pick up if Definitely for the Stardust support, I can heavily recommend for all of you Stardust fans out there. Yeah, that's it from me.
Exactly that. So, I mean, it's a really good set in that sense that, again, I don't think there's a meta-changing card, and what I mean by that is, from the base of it, the Zhang is probably the most generic card that you'll pick this up just to have it. But when you look back and you look at, obviously, Dogmaticas as an engine, you look at droplets, you look at talents, there's nothing on that level. Still a very good set. I think it's probably going to follow the same as Lightning Overdrive, unless they bring in some amazing imports or the next line of TCG exclusives get revealed. That will kind of tilt it over the edge or take it to the next level. That being said...
have we spoken about Retort Fusion?
No, so when is that Dawn of Majesty?
Retort Fusion is in Dawn of Majesty. Pay 1,000 life points to special summon a level 6 or lower non-effect fusion monster from your extra deck. This is treated as a fusion summon.
See, the worst thing about this...
And you're also getting a level 2 fusion tuner, which has no effect in this set as well.
Yeah.
So it's like...
So the worst thing about this is, I guarantee you, that card is going to be 40, 50, 60 pound, going to be a secret, going to be a Starlight. And it's just like... Does it need to? No. So basically, everyone now gets a free level 4 extender for the low cost of 1,000 life points.
Level 6 or below. The level 6 is actually really good.
Is there a level 6 spellcaster vanilla? I know there's a level 5. There's that Guitar King. So level 6. I can now specifically try and make Naruto. And then go into the Dark Magician rank 6. Ooh. It's getting spicy.
There is.
Ooh, what's it called?
Sandwich.
eBay.
Sandwich. Yes. Yes.
Do we actually have that though?
We have Sandwich. He's a fusion of Sangan and Richard the Black Forest. We've had him for years.
Yeah.
No, but have we actually had it? I don't know. I can't remember if I've seen it or not.
I've got him. I've literally got a copy.
I can't find it. I'm typing in sandwich. It's not working.
So, it's literally sand and witch.
I was putting in sandwich, not gonna lie.
SAN.
Oh, yeah, I've got one of these. Holy crap! Yeah. It's like £6.
£5.
What the hell?
Here's your bonus market watch.
£4.49 is the lowest I can find. I swear I have one of these.
Oh dear.
I'm not going to pay £4.50 for a comment. Oh, there we go. 2 sandwich, £1.25 plus £1.25 of best offer.
Go for it. Oh,
know, there we go.
So good.
Play set for £2. Play set for £3 or best offer. Fine. I'm less kind of like, holy crap, I'm not paying that much. Cool. Alright.
That's great.
Yeah, I was just
so everyone go through your EDO pros and just literally type in now level 6 fusion monster and scroll through. Find your attributes and your types that you need for Retort Fusion.
Oh, this is because this was the great Sea of Thessalos kind of hype, wasn't it? Because it's like it's a vanilla, it's a level 5 tuner. You literally just go instant fusion plus monster equals highly firebrax. Yeah.
Pretty much, and we can still do that now.
Yep.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I actually quite liked instant fusion, so I'm glad we got Retort Fusion.
Yeah, no, I like this because I think what this technically allows you to do is it can, I'm not saying it will, because it lets you go from 6 to 1, it does technically let you play, like obviously, not that you would, but Dark Magician can now go normal summon Rod, get the search, activate Retort Fusion, make a rank 3. Could be like Levianeer, could be anything like that. Now, obviously that's a bit random, but it's kind of like what it offers you is it can fit so many different decks on a fun level as well. Anyway, let's move into our end phase before we go too long because we've got a lot of questions to answer and I am stoked to answer them. So that was our our main phase and our battle phase and our main phase 2. We are now in the end phase. We're in the end phase, Mr. Stark, and we have loads of questions. So we've got 14 questions that came in from you guys over the weekend. Actually, no, a little bit less. We've got where can I? There you go. Cameron Werner, number 1. Where can I listen to the podcast? Well, Mr. Werner, you can listen to it on iTunes, Podomatic, Spotify, and now YouTube. There you go. Answered one already. So we've got 2, 4, 6 questions. So, Rafael Blancos, best resource for ruling questions and specific rulings for the game. I'm not going to answer this one because I just Google it. So, Donald, do you know anywhere?
Ruling questions generally, like, if it's a niche thing, what I try to do is use a simulator such as EDO Pro, or if you can do like an actual Yu-Gi-Oh, well, when I guess technically when Master Duel comes out, if you're able to use that, then by all means. Because the only reason why I suggest using EDO Pro, a lot of people will probably say, it's programming or whatever. It's not 100% true, or stuff like that. But that's the closest thing you can get, because the whole point of EDO Pro is that it is programmed to play as how you should be playing with the game, and it will resolve card effects and all of that, and it will tell you whether you can do or can't do stuff by it would just limitate like what you can do on that sort of side. Now, aside from that, you do what I generally do, because what a lot of card effects come into play is you read, you use the Yu-Gi-Oh Wikia, and it's mainly problem solving text. So a lot of the effects that a lot of the rulings come up is it's whether deciding it's a effect and then or and if you do those sort of effects come into play. And problem card solving text on Yu-Gi-Oh Wikia is it breaks it down, and so that you then can very well easily understand it, and it will give you some examples. A lot of what this game is that you're looking at the what conjunctions conjunctives are used in the card effects, and as a result rulings can be dealt with this way. But then, yes, you'll get some sort of ruling type questions. I was like, oh, because I have rivalry on field, can I, get rid of monsters and summon a different one? And that sort of thing. Because of course, the card itself doesn't state where you can do this or not. These sort of things have to be either just Googled on Wikipedia, on rulings, on that sort of stuff. Yu-Gi-Oh Wikipedia and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's what I generally use when it comes to deciding rulings.
Not going to argue with that. Like, there's so many obscure rulings, you won't find the answer to everything. It's very, very difficult. But the majority of the common ones you'll be able to find on Google quite easily. Good old listener of Metalo Marvel 123. What platform do you think will be best for Duel Masters? I'm going to get on PlayStation 4 just because it's what I do. Maybe Switch, maybe, I don't know. But I think PlayStation 4 will be the one that I would go for personally. Joe?
I'm going to get on Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Switch and iOS.
Yeah, I can argue that like you can either get on Switch or iOS if you're the sort of person who does travel out, and then you've got other people do have that, and then that way you don't have to bring your cards. But obviously, due to lockdown, a lot of people are really wanting to play physically, so I probably would at least get it on Steam at PC. Just for that, I guess if you've got a gaming PC, then you're for that 4K resolution, whatever.
So
it really depends on how the game progresses. Because if it is like something like EDO Pro, I would get on PC, because it's a great way for you to just unwind if you're not actually playing cards, or do rulings or deck build and that sort of stuff. So that's for me. PC or Switch, yeah.
I just hope it doesn't turn out to be like the Legacy of the Dawn. Like, Legacy of the Dawn was kind of cool, but like it was so grindy trying to open. I get it. I do understand it, but it was so grindy trying to open up all the packs, trying to find this one card, and then waiting for updates and blah 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 blah. Like, I can't imagine this is just going to be a pure simulator which is basically like Dev Pro, where you just go, right, cool, type in this card, build my deck, done. I've got the top meta deck. Like, I reckon there's going to be some way of earning something. I like the animations behind it. I like the way it's been built. I like the way it looks. I think my concern is just where it's going to lead. Like, how it's a Konami product.
I had an idea on how they could do it, and that is, it's a free download. Because the fact it's coming on iOS kind of gives the hint that it is going to be a free download. So it could be a free download, and then with that, you on your own can have access to every card, kind of like what they have with the other Yu-Gi-Oh app that we have at the moment, where you get access to everything, you can build your deck and so on and so forth. And then you would pay for a subscription on there, so like £10 or whatever, to then be able to play online. But then you could, like, with the free option, just play test hands, interact by yourself, maybe play a bot or something, I don't know, build decks, get access to all the cards. But then to play online, you then have to pay. And that could work quite nicely, because I could see people being wanting to pay to play online, but then for everyone else, they just have a free database app, basically.
See, I agree with that if it works, because one of the ones the one that I use is the one that you introduced me to, and I like this just for test hands. It's what's it called? Yugipedia, just as an app, is really good because you can build your deck in test hand. So I get something like that as being free, makes sense. But then I think when you're coming to like buying it on console, there are definitely going to be promos in there, like 100%. Don't know whether they'll be good or not, but you'll definitely get free promos, and then there'll be, I think because you're paying like 50 quid or 30 quid for the game, that should automatically entitle you. It depends on how much you're paying for a digital download, or there's got to be that gap between iOS, because you can't really say here, pay £30 or have it for free, because mobiles are pretty decent nowadays. It's like, okay, cool, well, I'll just get it for free. If I get the same thing apart from the promos, it's kind of like the promos have to be good enough for you to buy it as a physical copy rather than download it. That makes sense.
Actually, they did confirm that it is free to play, but then there's going to be in-game monetization. So the game will be free. Yeah,
so the game's going to be free, but it depends on what the in-game monetization is going to be. If it's like, oh, cool, buy a pack of...
You have to buy packs.
Exactly that. Oh, buy a pack of Breakers of Shadow. Yeah, we're going to charge you 99p like they do on
Duel Links.
It's like, no, stop it.
Like, why would I buy it on the... I say that I'd pay for Duel Links sometimes, but it's like, just bare bones. Like, why would I buy this app?
Oh, sorry. I personally feel that it's just gonna be mainly cosmetics, because like because they're trying to push this to be played in the world, I can't personally see it being the sort of thing where if you have to like log in with your account, or if someone new who don't, or who hasn't played, someone who's trying to enter like the worlds with the new Master Duel then doesn't have any access of the cards, then it's kind of like like a bit bad in all that sense.
Do you mean like no, all I was going to say is like you've got to kind of think, if this is like they're already playing catch up, because you already look at like Dev Pro, Yugioh Pro, all that stuff. That's already way ahead of it. You don't have to pay to play it. You can donate if you want to, anything like that. But then you also look at the Duel Links, and the reason that Duel Links has a following, it has a player base, and people pay money for it, is because it's completely different to what we already have. And what Joe's kind of said, which is a massively valid point, is why would you like go out and pay £30 for the game because you want to play the game, you want to test the game, you like the graphics, you like the animation? Fine. You want the promos, anything like that. But then when it starts coming to, right, we're now going to charge you money to play or to have the decks and cards and play online, for the same thing you can get for free just by typing in a different address, it's going to get very, very difficult. But that's all speculation. Obviously, that might change once we get more information. Regardless. Anyway, moving on to Andre Caprido. With the announcement of Master Duel, what do you think will happen to card prices? Should we start selling? 100% no. Like nothing. If you're a full-on gamer, by all means. But if lockdown has taught us absolutely anything, it's that people 100% prefer in-person Yu-Gi-Oh! I prefer in-person Yu-Gi-Oh! There's nothing that beats Like the socialization between one another, the physical playing, the physical shuffling, I'm definitely a more physical player. I prefer to do my test hands with a physically built deck. I do test hand digitally, and then I decide to build the deck, or I build the deck first, test it out, and then when I'm out and about, rather than take my cards with me, I'll build the digital deck so that I can test hand while I'm on toilet time. But that's my personal opinion. Do not sell unless you're like, I'm getting out of the game and I don't get enough. All my locals have shot. I've not got the ability to play physically. I would keep one deck, then sell up. But to be honest, when you get to that point, I think you're at that point of just selling up completely and not playing the game. Sadly, Joe, Donald.
No, I agree. Like I've literally not been playing in any online events just because I prefer the physical in-person interactions with my cards. Like I don't fully trust simulations at times with the shuffling. I'm just like, there's the simulation shuffling and then there's a personal shuffling cutting. This is like, sometimes it can become funky, but that's just me personally on a personal level. But I do more enjoy in-person contact.
I also would recommend not selling. Like at the end of the day, there's a whole reason why we have remote doors. Because as like even in a worst situation of all your locals around you have like closed, and if it's a hassle to like travel to other places to just play, then you would have to resort to just playing remote duels, unfortunately. So that in that sense, you can still just play with your physical cards that way rather than actually being person. So because I think what you're asking is that because Master Duel's a thing, do we just sell out cards? I'll definitely say
the machines aren't going to take over. Basically, keep your physical stuff. The machines won't go over.
Nothing beats a super shiny piece of cardboard in your hand that you know is
exactly
worth like more.
Also, we wouldn't have that shark great white story if it wasn't for physical play.
I have. They know. Right at the time of recording this, they don't know. But if they listen to the podcast, they will know. I've just been told that they've messaged Luke to find out what Luke gave him. So one of them messaged Luke an hour ago to find out what he gave me. Like it's that ingrained in their head. Like what? Like why are you so concerned? What could Luke have possibly given me? He's given me 2 cards that are the total out to every deck in the world. Oh. MST. Anyway, I'm moving on swiftly.
Yeah, like giving you forbidden droplets or something. You know?
I've got my own droplets. I don't need that.
You're out.
Master Red Gaming. What do you think about players who try to perfect the game their own way, fighting against the meta by creating their own rogue deck, even by using old and possibly forgotten cards and hidden text? Me personally, I think they're the best type of players. I think the players that there's only so many best Drytron deck you can watch where one card is different, and that one card isn't a spicy tech, it's just a personal choice. But when you see a deck, this is the kind of the troublesome thing. When you see a deck that is genuinely creative, genuinely has hidden techs, it's so much better to see. Like if I watch a deck list and I'm like, yeah, cool. All right, yeah, seen this bit before. Cool. Oh, wow, you're playing. Like, it's straight away, it changes your perception. You're like, oh, whoa, okay, maybe I might listen to this. Like, there's a difference between seeing a deck for the first time, and then there's that fine line of, okay, someone's playing this card, but rather than just chucking that card in the deck, they explain why they've chosen to play it. So, and if you actually look back at it, in my opinion, for me personally, the most memorable players that I know of are those that have done either something extraordinary at an event or have won an event with deck that shouldn't have even won it. So I remember during Striker, Spiral, Geist format, Tom Rose won UK Nationals with Burning Abyss, and obviously Dinkabui winning the event with Prankids. And we went to a Euros, and I couldn't tell you off the top of my head who the top 4 were, but I could tell you that there was a feature match of someone playing Harpies that blew a Salamangreat player out of the water. Like, that stuff is so much more memorable than anything. Like, I could tell you about Jake Quincy facing Joshua Schmidt and doing that 15-second speed play for the game. Because that was a memorable moment. And I just think there's so many different... The people that try to perfect the game in their own way are the better people, in my opinion. Because they're not sheep, they're not following the thing. And it's harder to do it because it's harder to... Like, usually, 9 out of 10, there's so many players that if there's a hidden tech that isn't being used, there's a reason it's not being used. There's probably because there's a loophole or there's some reason that it doesn't work. However, out of 10 attempts to do this and make something memorable, 2 of those times you'll get it right. And that's not a discouraging thing, because those 2 times you get it right take you from being someone that's not really known to right up there. Like, if you get the hidden tech right, not only do you create a flux in the market, but you also create a flux in the meta as well, which is just absolutely insane.
Like, my latest one I saw was the guy who got top place with dinosaurs because he was teching in Gillosaurus as his way to out Lancia. It was just mind blowing. I'm like, wait, what? Gillosaurus? And he went through the whole explanation of why Gillosaurus is so. And like at the end of the day, it was just, you search Gillosaurus up over Raptor, you summon it, you make Vertane, you make Dragoon. But then he was just like, oh yeah, but by doing this, your opponent has to second guess if they want to revive the Gillosaurus, because you can just go pop it with Dragoon and burn. And it was just like the theories were so there. It was so creative. It was just a one tech choice, but it was just so unique and it was so in depth. But I was like, this is great. It's like I kind of want to do it.
Excellent. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So we've got Simon. If you could have one monster cooked, prepared, and served however you want, which monster would it be, and how would you serve it? He wants Master of Oz, marinated in... He's gone in real depth for this. Whisked egg and served in a pitta with bruschetto mayo and lettuce with maybe pickles.
Jesus.
Someone else... Yeah, so it's just like... Okay.
This is like those questions where people say, which Pokemon would you eat?
Which Pokemon would you eat? I think I answered this one before. I want what's the OCG one they got? It was like Sofa and Chips or something, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
potato and chips. Just because it would be funny. Chips.
I want the sushi stuff, like man. Like,
yeah, potato
that
and
stuff
chips.
looks fantastic.
Potato and chips and marshmallow. So you're not actually eating a creature, like you're not eating a human. And I'd like to think that they've got with marshmallow, it's got regenerative power, and you're just like, cool, eat a bit, regenerate, eat a bit, regenerate, s'more it, let's go. Okay, let's move straight on to the last one because we are running out of time. What is the most successful way to make support for older decks? Making new cards while preserving the theme, or make it again from scratch? Now, I think between the three of us, we've all had decks that have received new line of support. The biggest issue is I think Konami look at these cards and they go, on their own, this card would be too broken if we didn't do this to it. But then when you actually look at it at the grand picture, it's not that bad. So, like, let's put it this way. Creating Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, okay, can pop twice and burn, keep in mind, non-target, burn, can't be targeted, can't be destroyed. Like, does that not ring alarm bells and go, that is probably one of the most broken cards on its own you've ever made? And then you look at Jack's Poker Knights, right? Now, Poker Knights makes sense because Joker's straight. If you activated that prior and it didn't lock you into anything, you're getting free monsters. So I get the putting the clause onto it. So the issue is, let's take the fun deck. So all of us can take one fun deck. So if we wanted to modernize and make TG competitive, actually TG is a perfect example. TG, they gave you the link free, which is a good step forward in modernization, but it shouldn't have locked you into TGs, because TG as a whole, if it wasn't locked into TGs, wouldn't make that much of a difference. It would mean you'd get more synchro monsters on the board. It wouldn't take the deck from being a fun deck to like tier 0. It'll take the deck from being a fun deck to maybe a rogue or a tier 2 deck. So that's kind of like the grey line, is you need to modernize the deck while looking at the whole picture rather than the individual card. Because the individual card of TG Lancer is really good. Special one from hand, field, and deck. Hand, grave, and deck. Really good card. Like, if it just had that, and you can only summon it once, and you didn't lock yourself into TGs, really good card. But they obviously looked at Lancer and said, wait, we can't let them summon 3 monsters and then be able to make whatever they want. They're like, right, okay, well, let's lock them into TGs. That, to me, takes them a step back. They need to look at it as a
I think it's
whole
just
picture.
a drastic lock. They went one step further. It's like if they just locked you into synchros.
Yeah, exactly that.
It's like there's a more variety, because then you could do TG and make Yusei's monsters. Like if we're just going to look at it from an anime perspective, cool. I can make a TG deck and go into Shooting Star Dragon and Red Nova Dragon, things like this. It's like, yeah, cool.
I mean,
I can't.
let's take the God Structure decks, for example, as well. So the God Structure decks, and again, I'm only going to look at the one that they both shared. So look at Soul Crossing. Really good card. Really good card. But it should have been a quick play. Because, oh no, it is a quick play, isn't it? Soul Crossing.
It is a quick play, but it doesn't search the god.
That's it.
Which is the problem.
So the gods have got all these cards. They've got the true name, right? They needed a card that helped you stack with true name. They needed a card that literally said, add one god from your deck to your hand, put a card from your hand to the top of the deck. That would have been the ideal card for a god deck. Because you're not drawing an additional card. You're just swapping a card for another, but you're setting up the top of the deck so that you can activate the true name to get a god from your deck. Yes, you'd get a god from the deck to the hand again, but you'd get a monster from your deck to the board for free. So it's kind of looking at limitations that they kind of go, nah, this is too broken. We can't put this, because they're looking at it the here and now. They're looking at the card on its own. So like literally they're going, this is a really bad example because I've got it in front of me. Gold Sarcophagus, for example, they go, right, okay, banish one card from your deck face down during the second standby phase after this card activation, add that card to the hand. Now, imagine this, just literally saying, banish one card from your deck face up. Okay, average. Kind of good, because you can trigger off all of the effects, stuff like that. And then like the stuff that holds this back is that you have to wait 2 standby phases. So it's
does
just
banish it face up.
Huh?
It does banish it face up.
No, that's what I'm saying. If it literally was just banish one card face up,
yeah,
like it's finding that common ground. So like with Gold Sark, it could have been a card that said just banish one face up, but the addition of add it back during the standby phase gives the deck a bit of a search, but it's a slow search. It's like what's the fusion card, the one that got errated?
Fusion.
Yeah, Future
Fusion.
So like, and the part like. Activate it, Foolish Burial 4. Next turn, Fusion Summon. And now it's like, activate. Next turn, Foolish Burial 4. Next turn, Fusion Summon. It's like, that card's not lasting 3 turns in the modern game. Get real. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, it's trying to understand. Now, it's...
Like, they rotted that card badly.
Yeah. But it's like, it's keeping in mind that the card you produce needs to have future potential. It needs to make the deck playable. And it needs to make the deck playable on a... Like, if you want to sell stuff and you want the deck to become popular, it needs to be on a competitive level. Like, let's look at Insectors, for example. That one card they're going to get is not going to change it. That one card is not going to take Insectors from a fun deck right now to a meta deck. And no one's asking it to go from a meta deck, but they want to take it from, like, okay, I might pick this deck out, I'll have a bit of fun with it at multi-ways or my random meetups, but I'm never going to take it to locals. Like, you need to break that barrier of... I'll take it to locals. Heck, I might even take it to a regional because it can do really well. So you look at the most recent Blue Eyes support that Blue Eyes got. That took a deck from a structure deck to you can actually win worlds with this bloody thing. Like, that's how much of a good jump that was.
So going back to his question, would you? So if you took if we made more TG support, would you stick to the current TG theme and what it wants to do, or would you try and give it something brand new to do?
I think it's less effort, and it doesn't need to be made back from scratch. Like I just feel that the cards they are making, they're making really good cards, but then they're putting this last little line of clause on, which gives a deck that is like 20 steps back from where it needs to be. They make this new card, brings them 15 steps forward, and then they put the clause on it, puts them 5 steps back again. And it's just like, you're nearly there. Just modernize it. Like, give it that push.
Yeah.
And I think
the best example was the Sacred Beast support.
Yeah, that was really good for the Sacred Beast.
That did it perfectly. Like, it knew what it needed to do. It needed to fix Sacred Beast. It didn't put stupid, ridiculous claws on it. Like, they knew exactly what they wanted, and they did that brilliantly.
I think the idea behind it all is taking the deck up at least a step, if not more, depending on how far back it is. So Sacred Beast, you took a deck that wasn't playable at all, like at a very low fun level, to a deck that could be played at locals, could be played at a fun level on a consistent basis. So it's trying to get that right bump. I wouldn't start stuff from scratch because then you lose the fan following from before. I think just modernizing stuff and keeping it, because like TGs are a synchro based theme. Fine. I don't want you to produce a monster that literally says, here you go, have 3 monsters, do whatever you want with them. I agree with you. It should have said lock you into synchro summoning, because then it's like, right, lock you into synchro summoning only using TG monsters. Fine. All right, let's go. But locking yourselves into TGs just made it so much harder.
If not, they should have at least pushed out more synchros for TGs alongside it.
Yeah, they should have given them a new boss monster.
Or more, like several, 3 more synchros that either helps you.
Yeah.
Like you could have one that helps you extend out from your deck, or something
or
to combo out and use, and then help you.
When you look at them, Halberd Cannon is a solemn warning on legs, and he's 4K. So give him a mini synchro, which gives that guy protection.
Yeah, but that's the issue.
I'll make my warning that's now hard to get over.
To get to that boss monster, you have to go a very specific route. And like when I got the TGs, I had to dig around to find TG Dragonfly. Like literally, that's how retro back I had to go. I had to go to Legendary Collection 5Ds to find a rare TG Dragonfly in order to play the deck. It was just like, yes, I get it. I'm using the legacy support. I'm not saying new support needs to replace it, but it needs to go with its strengths to help do it. And that's I kind of feel that the people that make the new support, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, have never or haven't played the deck for one, and haven't played recently. I think that would be a very good testing way of doing it. Is literally whoever I know it's very difficult. I'm not even saying it's remotely feasible, but literally the person that comes up with the cards, not for everything, but let's say for example this Inzektor card, right? What they should have done is they should have got someone to play Inzektors, just test hand it, build it, play around with it, and then play it against modern decks for like a month or so, and then they would go, right, okay, so this card is very weak against a hand trap, so maybe it needs a spell that can negate. Or this deck is very inconsistent, maybe it needs a spell that draws or a spell that searches. And like just because they're in that mindset, they then now get to build the correct card for the deck that helps it. Rather than, okay, this card's really cool, this helps fit within the theme, but I haven't really put it into practice, so I don't know what it does for the deck. It's a very, very fine line.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a very good question. So thank you so much for that, Zane. Thank you to everyone. That's all of our questions. So a very decent chunk of those questions for that. Thank you so much for every single one of you. I hope we've answered them well and truly. I'm just going to have a quick look to see what else we've got off the back of this Zane one. It depends. So Blobby, it depends on the deck. If the deck is so bad that old mechanic can't be saved, like Gemini's, for example, completely remade, I think Gemini's can be saved. We just need a card that allows you to normal summon each Gemini monster. Catalyst Field, but better. The deck has to normal summon each Gemini twice, so a continuous spell that gives additional normal summons for each Gemini with a different name might work or correct the problem. There's always a solution to patch mistakes. Geminis can be saved. Someone has a variant and it's actually quite good. Clearly the trap card Gemini Ablation is clearly overlooked here. But I think that's the issue as well, is I think they choose the right effect, but the wrong card. So like the Gemini Ablation could probably be, if it was a spell, would have been better. But when they looked at it, it was like, this is too broken, we need to make it a trap. And it's like, I don't think it needs...
No, they just need to turn their fusion monster, Super Alloy Beast Raptinius, into a continuous spell. Because his effect is all Gemini monsters on field are treated as effect monsters and gain their effects.
See, I think that's better. That's a better than Catalyst
slap
field.
that on a continuous spell or field spell. Cool.
Yeah.
Gemini's fixed.
I agree. I think that'd be kind of cool. Anyway, thank you so much to everyone that has listened. Thank you to everyone that has watched. I know it's been a very long, it's like an hour 45 podcast. It might be less by the time I've edited and chopped it down, or a little bit longer. So thank you for every single one of you. Thank you, Donald and Joe, for joining us on this one. We will be back next month, where we will be looking into September, which is a very busy month because we've got Battles of Legend and we've got the Megatins 2021. And then we'll also be looking at a brand new deck, bringing you some more tips, and tricks. There we go. Eventually. And market watch cards.
That may trip your opponent.
Triff. Thank you so much. As absolutely always, guys, stay safe. And Mr. Donald,
Happy Dolan.
looking to pick up your very own custom sleeves? Well, look no further. Go to yourplaymat.com, where you can choose to have your very own image on the back of sleeves, or you can choose from their amazing range of pre-designed artwork ready and waiting for you. Get them shipped directly to your door and use the affiliate link and discount code down below to get 10% off. What are you waiting for? Go and grab your custom sleeves from yourplaymat.com.